To Newsmax New York we return to pick up the conversation with former NYPD Commissioner Bernie Kerik, now the CEO of the Kerik Group. Now, Bernie, we heard Richard Burr's assessment, sounded almost chapter and verse like what you said before the break. Here's where I want to drill down a little bit. The whole notion of the lone wolf or lone rat attacks. There's been talk in Boston that the Tsarnaev brothers had to have some help. They're still suspicious of that there. And this thing in Paris yesterday doesn't appear to be lone wolf oriented. Are we going to see more sophisticated networks, smaller attacks, but with planning and military precision, not only globally, but perhaps here at home?
I think in due time you will. I'm constantly asked, are we susceptible to another September 11th? The reality is, these days, we don't need 4 planes flying into 4 buildings. I think we're beyond that. I think our security measures will prevent it. However, to create catastrophic damage, fear, economic destruction to this country, if you had 4 or 5 of the events like they had in Paris yesterday in different locations in this country on the same day at the same time, I don't think anybody in this country realizes the collateral damage that a strike like that could cost. And the unfortunate thing for us is there are people out there that want to do this, that will die to do it, and that are training to do it. They're training here and they're training abroad, and we have to live with that realization. This enemy is not going away. It's not going to cower, and we have to be prepared for it. And our best success at fighting something like this is going to be our intelligence capabilities. And I heard Peter King and some others talk yesterday about our ability to collect intelligence from the mosques and interact with the Muslim community to ensure that we're getting the intelligence we need to fight this enemy. And I completely agree. That is something that we started back in 2001, and I think that has to continue. We have to know who these people are, where they are, what they intend to do, how they intend to operate, who's funding them. Without that, we are going to see attacks like this in this country.
And it's interesting, Bernie, you mentioned Congressman Peter King. He will join us following the break. But we want to make good use of your time and generosity and insights. And there's something that I think falls into almost a merger of law enforcement and attitudes, and that is the press not showing the cartoons that Charlie Hebdo featured out of fear of blaspheming Islam. In your mind, should media outlets be showing those cartoons?
Honestly, JD, I think they should, but I have to say, prior to yesterday, I had never seen one. Never seen one. And I will tell you that in the last 24 hours, I've seen dozens, and I've seen them 100 times, maybe 500 times over the last 24 hours. They're all over the place now. So whatever the intent was of these people in Paris to prevent the showing of this kind of stuff, it completely worked in reverse, because those cartoons now are all over the internet. They're anywhere you look, they're out there. And I give credit to the magazine in Paris. I hear they're going to be up and running, and they're going to be back in publication. And that is a message we have to send to the rest of the world. We're not going to cower. We're not going to stop. We're not going to live in fear. We're going to continue to live in freedom. Freedom, democracy, liberty, freedom of the press, freedom of expression. They're not going to change the way we live or operate.
Bernie Kerik, as always, sir, we appreciate your insights. Obviously, you've literally been on the front lines in these situations. We think back to 9/11, and we thank you for what you have to say today. As always, we appreciate your time. Bernie Kerik from Newsmax New York. Now, Bernie mentioned Congressman Peter King. Congressman Peter King joins us next as America's Forum continues here on Newsmax TV right after this.